Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Skiera, aka Stations Guy, and I'm back with 5 more strange albums, which explains my strange rubber ducky shirt. A few months ago or a while back, I did a show on 5 strange record albums that I just randomly picked from my meager record collection. And on today's show, I thought I would give equal time to the compact disc. Yes, I still own compact discs, still occasionally buy them. So I went through my, very modest CD collection and picked out 5 rather strange CDs. And I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. So number 5 up to number 1. And for number 5, I can already see the nasty comments down below and hate mail and emails and so on. But nevertheless, number 5 is by Neil Sedaka. Now, before all the Neil Sedaka fans get all up in arms, I will grant you the fact that the man is a musical genius. He's a great lyricist. He has written some great pop songs like Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, Oh Carol, Laughter in the Rain, Calendar Girl. I mean, the guy, you won't get any argument from me there that the guy is a musical genius for sure. But he released a CD in 1995 that I felt was kind of over the top, and it's called Classically Sedaka. And in this disc, he takes 14 classical works and, wait for it, he writes lyrics to them. So he's essentially taking these classical masterpieces and almost turning them into like pop songs. And my first reaction when I heard about this was, who does this guy think he is? I mean, you're taking these musical works of art and you're reworking them and adding your own lyrics to them. The composers must be spinning in their graves. This is not the way they composed these songs and envisioned them. So it was almost like sacrilegious. Now, I'm not a classical, music buff. I don't know that much about classical music. I don't listen to it that often, but I do tend to put it on a sort of pedestal. I mean, these are masterworks. And so to rework them in this way, to me, felt like it was just above and beyond. And we're talking works by people like Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, Debussy, Puccini, Schumann, Verdi, and Tchaikovsky. So it really kind of blew me away that he did this. No one, as far as I know, had did this up until that point, and I don't believe anyone's done it since then. And it's weird to listen to these songs, these works, and hear them being sung. But some of them are, having said all of that, having listened to the CD, some of the songs, some of his lyrics are quite beautiful and quite moving. There's one that's called Turning Back the Hands of Time about Neil Sedaka's father. That's quite nice. And if you look at Amazon, the reviews, he gets a 4.8 out of 5.0, which is pretty amazing. I mean, getting that kind of a rating on Amazon, it's not easy to do. And some of the comments, people have gotten very emotional about these songs. They've cried. They're very meaningful to people. So, but that said, it is kind of weird. The other thing that's weird is, you look at the cover and the back, and you look at the disc itself, and I mean, it almost looks homemade. It almost looks like it was just sort of thrown together, like he did this himself and put it out himself, and maybe he did, but for something that, I mean, he says in the liner notes, let's see here. I consider this album the greatest achievement of my 40-year recording career. So this was clearly very important to him. It took him 6 months to write the lyrics to the songs while he was on the road. But yet it just kind of looks like it was an afterthought just thrown together. Some other things, let's see if there's anything else I can read to you here. Many people are intimidated by classical music, particularly operatic music sung in a foreign language. I wanted to present these beautiful melodies to the English-speaking public with my romantic lyrics so they might appreciate the music that much more. It was a difficult task. I had a great responsibility. What else can I write about here? He had years of classical training while he was on the road, and he was writing the lyrics I wrote on napkins in restaurants and on scraps of paper in airplanes. Miraculously, the lyrics seemed so natural. They sound as if they were written years ago at the same time the melodies were conceived. I wanted to respect some of the original orchestration from the composers themselves. The inspiration comes from deep down in my soul, and when I perform them, I am always moved emotionally, and the audience in turn feels my passion and joy. Well, alrighty then. So, again, yes, Neil Sedaka is great, but I just felt this was kind of over the top. So anyway, that's number 5. Let's move on to number 4, which is the complete opposite. It's instead of taking classical works and kind of popifying them, we're now going to take sort of pop music and turn them into classical pieces with this disc called Mozart TV. I like the cover. It's kind of a parody of a TV Guide magazine, and this is on Delos Records. And it has 15 tracks. And, it was around, I forget, I want to say it was like maybe the late 80s, early 90s when some record labels started coming out with these compilation albums of TV themes. So you could buy themes from shows from the 60s and 70s. And now, why someone would want to sit around and just listen to TV themes, I don't know. But it was a thing back then. And so here's one that takes some random TV themes and turns them into classical pieces. So you have Friends, the theme from Friends, done in the style of Vivaldi. Hill Street Blues, done in the style of Mozart. MASH, also Mozartified. The Brady Bunch, done like Mozart. Bewitched, done by like Debussy. Taxi, Green Acres, of all things. The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mr. Ed, Jeopardy, done in a way by Handel, The Jetsons, Cheers, I Love Lucy, and finally Star Trek Voyager. And now I guess to sort of add some excitement or more temptation to it, they used Dolby Surround on this. So it's not really a surround sound disc, but it supposedly adds more of a surround sound feeling to it, even though it's just stereo. It's also a fully digital recording, DDD. Everything is digital in the whole digital path. And they also used Monster Cable, which can sometimes be, depending on the product, a very expensive speaker wire, very expensive audio cables. They use Monster Wire here, and of course, full orchestra to do this. Came out in 1997. On a record label called Delos, which I love that name because being a geek and a sci-fi person, it reminds me of Future World and Westworld, which was sort of like an adult Disneyland. Humans would interact with robots, and the company that ran this was called Delos. So I give them kudos to naming their company Delos. There was a previous disc to this that was called Hi Ho Mozart, which took Disney songs and turned them into classical pieces. This comes with a 23-page booklet, which goes into detail about the songs and has trivia. It, unlike the Sedaka CD, has a 3.7 rating on Amazon, which is not very good. And some of the stuff just does not translate very well. I mean, Hill Street Blues, the Brady Bunch, Cheers, just doesn't make it, in my judgment, as a classical piece. The Jeopardy theme I actually think is kind of funny, and I think if the people had a sense of humor over there on Jeopardy, they'd actually use it once in a while. It kind of reminds me, too, of, if you remember, the sitcom Newhart, not the Bob Newhart show, but Newhart, the one where he's running an inn in Vermont. That theme song is kind of classical. It was done by Henry Mancini. Very nice song. In my opinion, it's completely contrary to the program, because the program is supposed to be a sitcom, a comedy, and yet the music is sort of classical and serious, and it's a very nice song. It just doesn't at all fit with the show, in my opinion, but this kind of reminds me a bit of that. So, number 4, Mozart TV. Run out and buy it today. It's deeply discounted on eBay and other sites because nobody wants it. Now we're going to continue our classical theme, which this was not planned. It's just the way I happened to pick the CDs, with a CD that came out in 1998 by a man named Woody Phillips. It has 14 tracks, and Woody Phillips is a woodworker, so that gives you a little bit of a hint of what we're talking about here. Yes, folks, Toolbox Classics, someone actually put out a CD of classical music performed on woodworking tools and power tools. This answers a musical question nobody asked. I do like the graphics on the CD, though. That's kind of neat and creative. But this guy's an actual woodworker, and he also is musically trained, if you will, from the San Francisco's Conservatory of Music. This disc has, amazingly, a 4.5 rating out of 5.0 on Amazon. And some of the songs we have on here, let's see, In the Hall of the Mountain King. Well, you know what? While I do that, I might as well just read to you some of the quote-unquote instruments that were used to perform some of these songs. So, In the Hall of the Mountain King features a hammer, wood rasp, duct tape, anvil, pneumatic nailer, hand saws, 2x4s, pipes, table saws, jointer, power drills, drill press motor, and jigsaw blades plucked. Saber dance, 2x4s, anvil, pipes, bottles, table saw, 50-gallon drums, hammer, wood scraps, and a ratchet. The Ride of the Valkyries, a Dremel, various power drills, large drill press motor, table saw, jointer, 2x4s, and a 50-gallon drum, and a partridge in a pear tree. Rondo a la Turca, pipes, 2x4s, handsaw, ratchet, hammer, pneumatic nailer, jointer, palm sander, circular saw, power drill, table saw, drill press motor, and a 50-gallon drum. Toccata in D minor, handsaw, hammer, table saw, 2x4s, pipes, anvil, power planer, drill press motor. The Sorcerer's Apprentice, pipes, various power drills, small drill press motor, table saw, jointer, 2x4s, 50-gallon drum, a hammer, a handsaw, and a broom. Now, last time I checked, a broom was not a power tool or a woodworking tool. And then finally, the last one I'll give you is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony No. 5. Table saw, jointer, large drill press motor, 50-gallon drum, anvil, pipes, 2x4s, bottles, antique drill, ratchet, vacuum, pneumatic nailer, various power drills, hammer, handsaw, musical saw, and a Dremel. Once again, bottles and a vacuum, I don't think those really qualify as woodworking tools. You would use them, I guess, in a woodworking shop, but that's kind of stretching it a bit. Anyway, I think you'll agree this is definitely a weird album, and that comes in at number 3. So if that's number 3, you can imagine these are just getting stranger and stranger, right? We're going to continue the classical theme here with a CD that came out in 2008. It only has 6 tracks. It's by a man named Christopher De Laurenti, who is a Seattle-based avant-garde artist. He's got a few other odd CDs and other odd things that he's done. The original pressing was limited to 900 pieces, and this is the reissue, which was limited to 1,000 pieces. It came out in 2007. This came out in 2008. The original came out in 2007. It's called Favorite Intermissions, and the original had a parody of a Deutsche Grammophon cover on it, the bright yellow. The reissue took that away. but 900 pieces is pretty limited, and the second issue here was 1,000 pieces. It's once again a musical question that nobody asked. It's intermissions. It's as you walk into the concert, the orchestra is tuning up and warming up and whatever. So you just hear these sort of random instruments playing, and then at intermission time, when you go out into the lobby to get your jujubes or alcohol or whatever it is you're getting, the orchestra once again is preparing for the second half of the program. And that's what you hear on here. That's all you hear. There's no music unless you want to consider this music. It's just tuning up, warming up, getting ready to perform. That's what this is. You'll hear chatting, people in the audience chatting, and you might hear a little bit of the microphone rustling. The interesting thing about this is, it's basically illegal. A lot of concert venues, you cannot go in and record the music, and a lot of the performers don't allow that. And a lot of the unions don't allow it. But this guy, this Christopher De Laurenti, snuck in a recorder. I don't know what kind of recorder, he doesn't say, and a microphone, and he recorded these things, and he put out this CD. It's, again, I don't know why anyone would have this unless you're into strange CDs, but the tracks on here, Holst Hitherto, Before Petrushka, SF Variations, Holding Out for Ein Helden, Awaiting Agon, and After Beethoven. And it just has various orchestras, so it does not identify the orchestras or the venues, I guess because he doesn't want to perhaps get into trouble by those places. So anyway, this is the CD, the inside. Once again, nothing special there. I'd like to play an excerpt for you from this. Let's see, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear it here doing it from my computer, but I'll play an excerpt. Let's get it up here. Okay, so you get the idea. Not that you have never heard an intermission before, but wow. That's all I have to add to that. So let's now move on to my number one odd CD, which is so scary I haven't even opened it. Tiny Tim, this is called Spirits of the Past Lost and Found Volume 4. I don't know that there's a Volume 1, 2, and 3, but it has 36 tracks. I don't think I own a CD that has 36 tracks other than this one. And I haven't played it, so I don't know the running time, but my guess is it probably pushes the limits of what a CD can hold. It's probably like 80 minutes. And now, you could probably pick any Tiny Tim CD and say it's weird, but this one has a couple of reasons why it's weirder than all the others. But let me just tell you, it was released in 2020. It's mono, and it has an 18-page booklet, which includes rare photos and memorabilia and copies of letters and things. So if you're a Tiny Tim fan, I guess this is a must. But one of the things that makes this weird is it wasn't recorded in a studio. It wasn't recorded in concert. It was recorded in Tiny Tim's hotel room. He was in between concerts. This is back in 1969. He had some time to kill, and so he invited his friends over to his hotel room along with this woman, Rita Sinacci, who was the president of Tiny Tim's fan club at the time. And he performed a private concert for them in his hotel room. Rita brought along a reel-to-reel recorder and a microphone, and she recorded the entire thing, unedited. And these guys went back and they remastered it, so it's, I guess, as good of sound quality as you can get under the circumstances. It's never been released before. I can't imagine why. Anyway, it's just odd. It's weird. The other thing that makes this weird is Tiny Tim sang the songs through a megaphone. He didn't just, sing on a microphone. He used a megaphone. He was trying to recreate the sound of recordings before there was all this, before there was tape and everything else, which is interesting because it was being recorded on tape on a reel-to-reel machine, but he wanted to make it sound like it was something before there was all this technology for recording. So between those two things and it being Tiny Tim and just the fact that they seem to go all out with the artwork and the booklet and so on, it's an odd CD. So that's my number one odd CD. Now, one thing I do want to address is somebody left a semi-nasty comment in one of my shows about, well, why aren't you playing the music that you talk about? What don't you get about that we want to hear it? And I've tried to explain in my shows that I want to respect the copyright law. I want to respect the artist. And it doesn't matter if you're only playing 10, 15, 20 seconds. You're not supposed to play something that's copyrighted unless you have permission from the artist or you've paid a royalty fee or what have you. And on top of that, I don't want my videos to be taken down. I want to play by the rules. So that's why I don't play the music. It isn't to annoy you. It isn't to tempt you on something and annoy you by not playing it. And on top of that, in many cases, you can go on YouTube and find these things and listen to them anyway. And plus, YouTube it's not the greatest place to do an audio demo, honestly. I mean, unless you got some kind of great super duper setup, which I don't have. It's not the best for playing music. Obviously, professional music videos, that's a different story. But when you're doing this kind of thing, it's not the greatest thing for playing music. So I don't do it to annoy you. And I understand you want to hear these things, and I wish I could play them. The thing on the favorite intermissions, I play that because, in my opinion, it's not music. As far as I know, it's not copyrighted. It hasn't been released on other albums and things. It's basically illegal. Nobody knows where it came from, who played it. So I'm assuming that's safe. If that isn't safe, then nothing is safe. But anyway, I just wanted to throw out that explanation out there. So I hope, unlike that person, you'll leave me some kind comments. Like my videos. Subscribe if you would, please. That's really big. Sharing and subscribing is huge to try and grow an audience and try and get some traction with these videos, which I'm trying to do, being a new YouTube channel here. So thank you very much for watching. Be kind to each other, please, and we will see you next time.